So as the next step, and that's going to absorb quite a lot of time, we have to talk about the basics of cryptography. We're looking at this from various different angles. I'm trying to go through various different approaches to you. I hope you will bear with me. We're not going to go straight away to what it is that we were after, which is to understand digital signatures. I first need to explain to you how cryptography works generally. So the foundation is that we want to understand the secure sending of information. That's basically how cryptography was designed. What was the first idea about it? So the problem that you see here is this: you want to send a message and you want no one to be able to read this. And the basic idea is that it should be very easy to decrypt the message with the right tools, and it should be very hard to decrypt it without it. Just some formalism that we're going to use. We have a message M. We have something which is referred to as a public key P. There is a private key S. We use S for safe. And then there is a ciphertext C. So that is the encrypted information. What you want to have then is two functions. One encodes the message. We call them enc of message and private key, a public key. And then you decode the cipher that you receive using your private key. All right, now, so again, let's think about the message that we want to have. We have Alice on the left and we have Bob who want to send money without Charles seeing a message. So Alice sends an information, which is a letter. We don't want Charles seeing it, to Bob. Now, how does encryption work? The basic mechanism is actually quite simple. If we start with something referred to as symmetric encryption, which means where everybody basically uses the same tools in order to have this encryption. So Alice, what she does is she takes her message and she locks it. She encrypts it using a key. Then she sends it to Bob. Charles can look at it as much as he wants. He will not understand it because he doesn't have the key to the message. And then Charles goes out and he decrypts the message using the same key. Here, what we have formally is that the public key would be the same as the private key. Critically, of course, the two parties here, Alice and Bob, both have the same key, and Charles does not. Now, asymmetric encryption is, now, as you can see, with symmetric encryption, there's a lot of problems. They have to agree on the same key. And if you think of something like a blockchain, that's just not going to work, because the whole idea is that parties don't know one another, and you could not possibly have a situation where everybody has the same key. So how does asymmetric encryption work? Well, this works as follows. Bob here has two keys. He has a public key and he has a private key. Now, the way it works is that Bob publishes his public key and keeps his private key private. So what Alice would then do is she takes the message and she encrypts it with the public key. Now, Charles will not be able to read this message, because even if he has the public key, he will not be able to infer just from having the public key and the encrypted message, that is the cipher, what the original message was. But Bob can use his private key and then decrypt the message and then be able to read it. So this is the basic principle of how encryption works.